check the mic and make sure it sound right.
We all know Beyonce is rich, right? I mean, she's not just rich, she's like rich. Her net worth is literally $500 million. That is $500 million. I can't even conceptualize that much money. I think that's absolutely insane. I don't even know what I would do with myself with $500 million. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't even know what I'm playing. I know exactly what I would do with $500 million. But do you know how Beyonce amassed her $500 million net worth? Nope. But that's okay, because that's why I'm here. Let's get into the business of Beyonce. But first, hi, I'm Beverly Hamilton, and you're watching my Business of series. I also have an It Girl series, and I did an episode on the Lori Harvey obsession. And subscribe. I literally have 2 subscribers. Let's get into the business of Beyonce. Beyonce is an American singer who was okay. We all know who Beyonce is, right? You know who Beyonce is. I know who Beyonce is. We know who Beyonce is. Let's move on. So most musical artists, Beyonce started amassing a big chunk of her wealth by being a spokesperson or a brand ambassador for different brands. And she has worked with so many brands over the years, it's not even funny. But I want to specifically talk about the brands that paid her big, and I do mean big, money. So in 2009, Beyonce started working with a company called Coty to develop a fragrance line. And if Coty Cosmetics sounds familiar to you, it's because they're the company behind the insanely popular and extremely affordable brand ColourPop. And also, when Kylie Cosmetics first came out, they were the lab behind her brand. But in 2009, Beyonce worked with them to develop a fragrance line, and she signed a deal for $20 million. Now, in 2009, that was a lot of money. It still is a lot of money. Let's keep it a buck. That's still a lot of money. Okay, that's a lot of money. But in 2009, that was a lot of money. By 2013, the perfume had become so popular, it sold over $400 million. And I hope, and she probably did, go back and renegotiate later on once she saw how successful the perfume was, and she probably even got even more money off of it. One of the biggest spokesperson deal that Beyonce has ever done is with the brand Pepsi. You know Pepsi, right? The drink company that kind of has a monopoly in the food industry. They own a lot of different, I didn't realize how much PepsiCo owns. This deal is extremely interesting to me because it's very unique. I've never seen a deal like this before. So Beyonce and Pepsi had a deal where Pepsi would pay her $50 million. Yes, $50 million to be the spokesperson for the brand. That included things like commercials. I think they came out with a limited edition can with Beyonce's face on it, billboards, the whole shebang. But that's not really the interesting part about the deal. The interesting part about the deal is that when Beyonce negotiated, she had a bunch of really interesting things put into the contract. So, for example, when she performed at the Super Bowl, most artists, they don't get paid for Super Bowl. If you didn't know that, when Rihanna performed at the Super Bowl, she did not make money off of that. But it was a really good business move for her because she was able to give more visibility to her already insanely huge brand Fenty Beauty. For Beyonce, though, she actually did get paid for the performance. She negotiated it so that Pepsi would pay her for the Super Bowl performance, which I think is crazy. And that's not even the end of the deal. It was an across-the-board creative deal, so Pepsi actually funded a lot of her creative endeavors during the terms of that deal. You know how Doja Cat had that Taco Bell deal? If she went to them and she was like, yeah, I want you to pay me for this, but also you're gonna fund my tour. You're going to fund any photo shoots, any music videos I want to do, and you're going to like it. And guess what? The creative projects that they funded for Beyonce, they didn't have to be connected to Pepsi in any way. She could do a whole music video that was completely funded by Pepsi, and she didn't even have to drink a Pepsi one time. She didn't have to crack open a Pepsi not one time. Pepsi said they wanted to be seen as a patron of the arts, so it's pretty cool. And Chloe Bailey actually worked with Pepsi. I wonder if Beyonce helped her get her foot in the door. Oh, wait. I was about to completely skip over this. In 2015, Beyonce and L'Oreal actually worked together, and Beyonce became the face of L'Oreal for a time period, and they paid her $5 million for that, which compared to all the other deals that she had around this time period, it seems like chump change, right? That's pocket change for B. So in 2020, we're at the height of the pandemic, and everyone was at home, everyone was working out at home, and Peloton blew up, right? You guys remember that, right? Everyone was on Peloton. Now no one uses their Peloton really anymore. During this time period, one of the most requested artists by their consumers was Beyonce. During these classes, they would play music, so a lot of people wanted to ride out to Beyonce naturally. In 2020, Beyonce inked a multi-year agreement with Peloton, and within that deal, her and Peloton worked to give free classes and free Peloton bikes to HBCUs. One of her most recent brand deals was with the legacy brand Tiffany's & Co. You know, Tiffany's, the blue box, breakfast at Tiffany's, jewelry. Why they haven't released the numbers for how much Beyonce made from these ads and being the face of Tiffany's, we can assume it was a lot, because this ad with Beyonce and her husband generated more than $10 million in total media impact value. To put that in perspective, usually Tiffany's posts generates a media value of like $300,000. And just like her Peloton deal, she included terms to work with HBCUs. Her foundation, Be Good, worked with Tiffany's to give away more than $10 million of scholarships to HBCU students. So yeah, Beyonce has made a huge chunk of change from doing sponsorships and brand ambassador deals. But Beyonce is also a little actress. You know what I'm saying? Like, she likes to be on film sometimes, and oh my gosh, has she made some money from being on film. It's reported that in 2006's Dreamgirls, Beyonce was paid $12.5 million for her role as, I forgot the name, Dina, that's right, Dina, for her role as Dina, and her price would only go up. In the 2009 remake of Disney's Lion King, Beyonce was reportedly paid $25 million for her voice acting role as Nala. For a voice acting role, that's insane. But her biggest film paycheck to date is with the extremely popular streaming service Netflix. So do you guys remember Beychella? So apparently Beyonce was paid $8 million for her performance. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is her deal with Netflix. You see, Beyonce could have just took the $8 million and just been fine, but no. So she created a documentary, right? She filmed the concert, and then she started a bidding war between a bunch of different streaming services to see who would pay the most money for it. Netflix put up so much money, HBO had to bow out. She made a deal with Netflix, and they paid her $20 million. $20 million is like her magic number. But that's just part of the deal. She actually signed a 3-project deal with Netflix, and each project that is put on Netflix, she's going to get paid $20 million. So in total, Netflix is going to pay her $60 million in the next couple of years. And me and a lot of people out there think that when she releases, if she releases her visuals or her documentary for Renaissance, it's probably going to be on Netflix. So for all you people holding out hope for the visuals, just know she still has 2 more projects she has to deliver to Netflix. So fingers crossed. I can't cross my fingers because I'm holding this mic, but fingers crossed. Speaking of Renaissance, the tour actually literally started today, and that is one way that Beyonce makes a lot of bank. Touring is extremely lucrative for Beyonce. She is a very in-demand artist to see live. In 2013, her Miss Carter World Tour would make $230 million. Her On the Run tour in 2014 grossed $109 million. Her Formation tour in 2016 grossed $256 million. In 2018, her On the Run tour 2 grossed $256 million. And she has already outdone herself because Renaissance, the tour that literally just started today, is projected to gross at least $300 million. Hi, it's Editing Beverly here. I just wanted to pop in and make a little correction. So the Beehive made sure to inform me on my TikTok yesterday that actually the Renaissance World Tour is projected to make somewhere between $1.2 billion and $1.3 billion. Now, if that is true, it will be considered one of the most lucrative and financially successful tours in all of history. So yeah, I just wanted to pop in and sprinkle that in there. Back to the video. Which would be her most lucrative, profitable tour to date. So while Beyonce is obviously a wonderful spokesperson and she's a fantastic performer, which is why her tours sell out, she's also a smart investor. In 2016, through Parkwood, she would invest in an app called Sidestep. Sidestep was this app that allowed people when they went to concerts to just kind of pre-order merch so they wouldn't have to stand in line after the concert. Anyway, so during her 2016 Formation tour, she noticed that this brand was helping her push some merch, and she invested in it 2 weeks later. Also famously, when Beyonce performed for the company Uber, she, instead of taking money, she decided to get paid in stock for the company. Now this is before they went public, so a lot of people were really fiending for that Uber stock. She received $6 million worth of stock, and by the time the company went public, it was worth $9 million. Now whether or not she's still invested in Uber, I don't know. Regardless, at the time, that was an extremely smart investment. Beyonce isn't just invested in tech though, she also invests in the food industry. So after she released the song Drunk in Love, which famously has the line that goes like, the brand Watermelon Water sent her cases of their water, which led to Beyonce joining a round of their capital raise. She also has investments in another drink company called Lemon Perfect. She was a Series A backer, which basically during the Series A funding round, the company wanted to raise $31 million, so Beyonce invested into that round. The brand actually went viral in 2020 when people saw the drink in the back of a limo that Beyonce was getting out of, which may have been like a great investment because the brand is projected to do $60 million in retail sales. Beyonce also had a 3% stake in the music app Tidal, which was majority owned by her husband Jay Z. And when Jay Z sold the app to Jack Dorsey, yes, that Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, she made $8.9 million. One of her most recent investments is in a company called Tripzzz, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a company that makes like accessories and ready-to-wear clothing. And she was a backer in the first round of funding, but she was not alone. Okay, some of the other backers in the first round include Rihanna, yes, Miss Fenty herself, Reese Witherspoon, and Jessica Alba. And if you don't know, all three of those other women have hugely insanely profitable business. Beyonce even wore the hat in this photo, which I thought was really cute. Besides touring, Beyonce actually makes a lot of money doing other performances, specifically private performances. And you can book her too if you have the coin, that is, because the price to have Beyonce is let's just say hefty. So in 2002, a private equity billionaire named David Bonderman, paid Beyonce $18.7 million to perform at his 60th birthday party. Most recently in 2023, and I would also say like most famously, Beyonce performed in Dubai for the grand opening of the Atlantis Royal, and she was paid for a 1-hour performance. A 1-hour performance. I need you to get that in your head. 1 hour, 60 minutes. She was paid $24 million. Everyone has different values. Would I pay $20 million for Beyonce to perform at my birthday party? Yes. Is that even a question? Imagine the clout you would have from being able to say, oh yeah, Beyonce performed at my birthday party last year. Nose? But Beyonce isn't just a performer, and she doesn't just give her face away to other brands. She's actually a business owner in her own right. So in 2010, after her and her dad split ways because he was managing her at the time, she created Parkwood. And oh my gosh, I think, in my personal opinion, Parkwood is probably the smartest thing that Beyonce has done because of a couple of reasons. It's her company that also manages her, so that allows her to have complete creative freedom over all of her projects. She uses Parkwood to do a lot of her tech investments, which I think is really smart. Parkwood gave her control. Not only did it give her control over the projects that she chooses to do, but it gave her control over her music, because from this point on, she owned all of her masters. So Parkwood is a management, production, and entertainment company. They expanded into tech and business a little later on, but they do it all basically. Under Parkwood, so many things just went to the next level with Beyonce. That is when she started getting more lucrative business deals, right? That's when she started managing other artists. So Chloe and Hailey are under Parkwood. Parkwood retains 15% of all gross earnings that Chloe and Hailey generate. So, you know, Chloe, who just sold out a tour, and Hailey, who is literally about to be the next Little Mermaid in Disney's live action, The Little Mermaid, 15%. 15%. Which, by the way, I'm planning on doing It Girl episodes about Hailey and Chloe Bailey separately. And I would also like to do a business of Chloe and Haley. So if that interests you, subscribe, follow along, because those are coming very soon. Parkwood helped produce films like Cadillac Records and Obsessed. It produced all of Beyonce's visual albums. A lot of the investments that she has made are through Parkwood. The company is extremely successful. It's often overlooked, but 7 years after it was founded, it was worth $600 million. And Parkwood Entertainment is valued at $1.5 billion. And the company generates at least $12 million a year. I truly believe that Parkwood is Beyonce's wisest business decision. Even if she decides that she doesn't want to perform anymore, even if she decides she never wants to show her face again, it's a safety net. It's thinking years in advance. I think Parkwood is pretty cool. And another cool thing about Parkwood is that is when the birth of Ivy Park happened. So Ivy Park is Beyonce's clothing company. They have shoes, they have clothes, they have accessories, the whole big shebang. So when it was created in 2016, it was actually a 50-50 partnership with a company called Green, I think. And during this time period, it was more like, I don't want to say fast fashion, but it was available to buy at a fast fashion shop called Topshop. Eventually, Beyonce split ways with Topshop in the company Green, and in 2018, Beyonce gained full ownership of Ivy Park. And literally a year later, she teamed up with Adidas, and the Ivy Park that we all know and love today was born. So the quality of clothing noticeably went up. But to me, the most interesting part about her deal with Adidas is the terms of the deal. So Beyonce received $20 million a year every year that she worked with Adidas, which I feel like is very smart because it protected Beyonce from receiving payment based on the performance of the brand. Whether or not the brand did well or not, that year, that quarter, she would still be paid $20 million a year. So Beyonce has received at least $60 million so far from her Adidas Ivy Park partnership. In 2021, Ivy Park generated $93 million in sales. In 2022, Ivy Park generated $40 million in sales. As you can see, when the brand first came out, it was actually wildly successful. It was sold out. People were scrambling to get their hands on it. So while Adidas and Ivy Park have decided to split ways in early 2023, Beyonce still won because Beyonce still got paid at least $16 million from the deal, despite the brand losing money for Adidas. So these are just some of the ways that Beyonce has amassed her incredible wealth. Are there some business deals that I didn't mention? What do you think? Which deal impressed you the most? Because for me, I think Parkwood definitely has impressed me the most, but also the Pepsi deal definitely impressed me. I want her lawyers. Whoever is negotiating these contracts, I want them. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the business of Beyonce. Thank you so much for spending time with me while I just threw up information at you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to keep following along, and I guess I will see you guys next Friday.